As the sun set behind the tall oak trees, casting eerie shadows across the clearing, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about this campsite. My friends and I had decided to go on a spontaneous camping trip, but little did we know that we had set up our tents on an Indian burial ground. The air seemed to grow colder as night fell, and a chill ran down my spine as I heard the faint sound of drums in the distance. I tried to brush it off as just my imagination playing tricks on me, but the feeling of unease continued to grow. My friends were all gathered around the campfire, laughing and telling stories, but I couldn't bring myself to join in their merriment. I decided to take a walk around the perimeter of the campsite, hoping that some fresh air would clear my head. As I walked, I stumbled upon a strange patch of disturbed earth, as if something had been recently dug up. Curiosity getting the better of me, I knelt down and began to dig, my hands clawing at the dirt. What I found sent a shiver down my spine, a small, weathered skull, its empty eye socket staring blankly up at me. I let out a scream and stumbled backwards, tripping over a tree root and falling to the ground. My friends came running, their faces filled with concern, but all I could do was point at the skull, my words failing me. One of my friends, a history buff, paled as he inspected the skull. This, this is an Indian burial ground, he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. We need to leave. Now. But it was too late. The sound of drums had grown louder, the beat reverberating through the trees and into my very bones. Shadows danced around the campsite, their forms indistinct and unsettling. I could hear whispers on the wind, in a language long forgotten but filled with malice. Then panic set in, our joy turned into fear and desperation. We scrambled to pack up our belongings, ignoring the fact that the drums were growing closer, that the shadows were closing in around us. As we made a break for the edge of the clearing, a figure stepped out from the darkness, a spectral apparition, its eyes dark pits of hatred and anger. I could hear my friends screaming behind me as I ran, my heart pounding in my chest. The figure beckoned to me, its bony hand outstretched, and I knew with a sickening certainty that it wanted me, that it would not rest until it had claimed my soul. I stumbled over roots and fallen branches, my breath coming in ragged gasps. The clearing seemed to stretch on endlessly, the trees looming above me like silent sentinels. And then, just when I thought I couldn't run any further, I saw it, the edge of the burial ground, the boundary that separated the living from the dead. With one final burst of energy, I pushed myself forward, my feet carrying me over the threshold and into safety. I dared not look back, not wanting to see if the figure had followed me, if it had reached out its skeletal hand and claimed me as its own. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting its golden light across the campsite, I knew that I would never be the same. The events of that night would haunt me forever, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurked in the darkness, waiting to ensnare the unwary. And as I walked away from the campsite, my friends at my side, I knew that we had been lucky to escape with our lives. The spirits of the dead would not soon forget our trespass, and I could only hope that they would find peace in the afterlife, leaving us to live out our days in peace.